Hello everyone, how are you in this fine day? This is a friendly reminder that you, we, are not our work. I come from a generation that, for many people, we equate our identity, our value, our worth with what we do, with our occupation, with our job. And I think this is even more prominent in the generations that came before us, before the millennials. And an example of this is how, in modern society, if people learn that you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you would be accorded a higher kind of treatment, a higher social status than if you say, for example, that you're a gamer, you're a content creator, or worse, heaven forbid, you are currently in between jobs, and everybody knows what that is. Whereupon, especially the older folks, by no fault of their own, they were simply molded by their own context, by their own times. They would treat these people with a lesser, a lower level of social status. And so many people equate who they are, their identity, with their work. But the danger of this, however, is, and this is even if you do enjoy what you are doing, this is regardless of whether you actually like your work. The danger of this is because work is an extraneous factor. And even if we like to convince ourselves that we have control over it, that it has some degree of stability, the truth is we can only control it so much, if we can at all. We have heard the many horror stories in recent times wherein people who seemingly believed they had stable jobs, they had stable careers, were just one day, by a snap of a finger, laid off because their functions were already relegated to artificial intelligence, which is, of course, the new thing nowadays. More and more people who previously perhaps believed that they had it all figured out, that they had career stability, were suddenly displaced because the role was suddenly replaced by a robot. Well, technically not a robot, but by AI functions. And so the danger of equating our identity with work, number one, is we can only control work so much, even if we like it or not. And it's an extraneous factor. And anything in life that is extraneous, we can only hope that we can affect to a certain degree. And mind you, this applies to all professions, doctors, lawyers, businessmen included. We have heard, of course, many horror stories in the past where businesses which were seemingly solid just one day, of course, usually gradually, had to close shop. Extraneous. And the second difficulty, or rather dilemma, which comes when I equals work, is because that is a falsehood. That's not a true statement. Because I is not equal to work, and it will never be. We won't go into the details of the philosophical underpinnings behind this. And Different philosophers would also have different arguments against this, but in general, it is a consensus that human identity is not equal to work. Cliche as it may sound, we are called human beings, not human doers. And our identity, our self-worth, is actually inherent. We have it regardless of what we do, regardless of where we work, whether we have work in the first place. That is what we call our inherent dignity as human beings. That, in essence, is who we are, not our identity as a programmer or as a content creator and so on. And concretely, unfortunately, we see this in the news where people who lost their jobs, unfortunately, unalived themselves. Just a friendly reminder, if you are currently feeling down, or if not, you, all of us, we're not our work. Our work is just a tiny, tiny fraction of who we are and of what we do. Thank you everyone and stay safe.